By the end of today, hopefully we will have a sketch on our good paper, but the final piece should look like this. Hello, my talented artists. I know a young artist, Dylan, who has requested on several occasions to create a full color landscape, and I've been wanting to teach a lesson on how to create depth and just doing some cool stripes to create that farmland crop look. Let's get going. Let's look at some photographs of farmland. There are two elements that I want you to really focus on. One is the stripes that the crops make. The second thing is how to make objects like trees or buildings or bushes look further away. What can you observe about the stripes that the crops make? Pause to discuss. I like your observations. Nice discussion. We saw if the stripes are curvy, it makes the land look like hills. We saw that crop stripes can be straight or curvy. And we saw if the stripes are straight, it makes the land look flat. We observed that when the crop stripes were farther away, they were smaller and closer to the skyline. We can use these observations to create the illusion of depth in our landscapes. If you look at this tree, it looks closer to us than this tree. Why does this tree look closer? Pause to discuss. Okay, artists, riddle me this. Why does this building look farther away than this building? Pause to discuss. Nice discussion, folks. We are talking about how to create depth, and we are going to use two strategies. The first one is size. Something farther away should be smaller than something close. The second strategy is placement. If you want something to look further away, put it closer to the skyline. This landscape painting by David Hockney is entitled Nichols Canyon. Look carefully. Can you find where David Hockney used size or placement to create depth in this painting? Pause to discuss. Here is a painting by Simphiwe Ndzube entitled Whispering Landscape. How does Simphiwe Ndzube create depth in this painting? Pause to discuss. Here is another landscape by Carolee Clark entitled Striped Hills. How does Carolee Clark create depth in this painting? Pause to discuss. All right, my little artists, I want you to silently take out your sketchbooks, find an empty space where you can draw two rectangles. If you have room, they can be next to each other. If not, you can find different places in your sketchbook. Because they're smaller than the piece of paper we're going to be working on, they are called thumbnail sketches. Give me a thumbs up if you've drawn your two small rectangles. If you haven't, draw them now. We are going to warm up. I want you to draw what I draw. First, draw a skyline kind of high up in the rectangle. Then you're going to draw a straight line down from the middle to the bottom of the thumbnail. We are going to draw some more straight lines. They are all going to start at the same place on that skyline, but they are going to go out diagonally. The stripes should be getting wider at the bottom of the thumbnail. When we begin drawing the diagonal lines on the other side of our middle line, they are going to go diagonally the other way. So the right diagonals are going to go towards the right side of the page, and the left diagonals are going to go towards the left side of the page. Go ahead and do it now. Pause now if students need more time to complete this. Let's move to our second thumbnail. This one is going to have 3 hills. You can use any kind of curved or bumpy line. Start with a curved line on the bottom. And then add one on top of that. And then draw your third curved or bumpy line for the third hill. We are going to add stripes to the hills now, but because hills are round and we want them to look round, we are going to add curved lines to create our crop stripes. Go ahead and draw curved stripes on one hill. When you move to your next hill, be sure that you're still drawing curved lines, but these lines should go in a different direction. The closer together you draw those curved lines, the further away the hill is going to look because you're making more narrow or narrower stripes. Choose another hill to draw stripes on. Make sure they're curved lines. On my last hill, which is the front hill, I'm going to try the 1-point perspective I did in the first thumbnail sketch. If you're done with this thumbnail, you can make a third one while you wait for everybody else. Experiment with how you draw your stripes. It's time to draw all those crop stripes on your hills. Somewhere in the margins of your paper, outside of your thumbnails, you're going to just do little icons, little sketches. One of a little bush, one of a little tree, one of a little building, or a little house. Go ahead and do those little sketches now. Pencils down for instruction. I want you to choose one of these little icons. We are going to create depth using one of these little icons and repeating it 3 times. Each time we draw it, we're going to change the location and the size. And I want you to draw one of them far away. That means it's close to the skyline and it's really teeny tiny. I think I might even draw 3 in a row because they're so tiny. Now I'm going to draw one that is in the middle ground. It's a little bigger and it's a little further away from the horizon line. Now I want you to draw one in the foreground. That means it looks pretty close up. So it should be much bigger and lower on the paper because that makes it further from the horizon line. Moving on to the second thumbnail, I'm going to do a bush. I'm going to have my bush, the closest one, I'm going to have it going right off the bottom of the page. That is a choice you can make. Now I'm going to draw the second closest one. It's a little bit smaller, of course, and higher on the paper. And now the one that looks the furthest away, which is, of course, smaller and closer to the skyline. Take a look at your skies. We are going to practice drawing clouds that look closer and further away. So if you have a small sky, don't worry about it. You don't need a cloud. First, outside of your thumbnail, draw a little very skinny flattened cloud. Now draw that little tiny cloud near your skyline, and it's going to look further away. And then just draw a fluffier, bigger version of that cloud further away from the skyline. Now you have created depth using clouds. When you are done with your sketches, it's time to start sketching with a pencil on your nice white paper. Remember our goals. We want to make sure that we have stripes on our land to represent the crops of a farmland, and we are going to create depth by repeating a shape 3 times and changing the size and location to make them look like one is in the foreground, one is in the middle ground, and one is in the background. Get the good white paper out. I did this whole sketch and recorded it, but the mic was too far away. You know what? I think you don't need any more instruction. You are ready to sketch on your nice white papers, but I'm going to put up here those 3 paintings of the artists that we looked at earlier for inspiration. I can't wait to see what you sketched today. Let's get going.